begin. Super Heavy Samurai absolutely changed the meta on release, forcing a card like Duel Knockbird to be played at 70% plus across the board, according to Konami's official analytics, and then dropping dramatically to about a 20% usage as soon as the deck was nerfed. Clock Lizard, what the heck? We're activating the effect to return a fusion monster from the graveyard back in the extra deck to then perform a fusion summon into a Blaze Phoenix. What the heck? How's that even a legal activation if you don't have another fusion in your extra deck? What the? It's gotta be optional. Optional to fuse, right? Ain't no way. Burning, triggering the Raging Phoenix to reborn from the graveyard, but it's still not enough for lethal damage here. Zealantis, the final piece of the puzzle to burn a 5th time. Ain't no way. Is the Blaze Phoenix banned anywhere in the TCG, OCG? What the heck is this nonsense? First turn kill. Konami. I swear it's banned somewhere. I think so. No? Blaze Phoenix is not banned anywhere. It is limited to 1 to ensure that people cannot first turn kill with it, so good on Konami to make sure that does not happen. Sword Knight jumping off of the field to summon from the deck a Gazelle King. And we're going to be triggering the Whitebeard to summon from the deck. Now, this states that you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except Plunder Patrol monsters. That's it, Plunder only. As we send a Diabell's from the deck to the graveyard, which cannot be summoned this turn, but we're going to summon her during the opponent's turn, as we now make a Blackbeard Plunder Patrol captain. I love this deck already. I want to play this. What did we accomplish here? We have the Chimera King, which is going to be activating right here, right now, targeting a Banished Fiend, Beast, or an Illusion to summon it onto the field. Actually, a correction. It's going to be targeting it from the graveyard. We're banishing this from the graveyard to target the monster in the graveyard to reborn. The Baphomet is the one that summons a banished monster. As we now have Diabell's, but Ghost Bell is going to negate that effect. You're not going to be reborn the Diabell's. Now, Diabell's states that screw Pendulum. Pendulum scales cannot be set. What the heck? You know, that would heavily screw up Super Heavy Samurai. So good on Super Heavy for being able to negate that effect that would completely turn off the Pendulum scales. As we now start this off with the Poplar activates searching for our original Sinful. With our original Sinful, we are going to be met with, on the resolution of adding it, a Plunder Patrol Ship Jord. Now, what the Jord is going on? Jord states that if your opponent special summons a monster, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, and then you could special summon a Plunder Patrol from your deck. So first we're going to be adding the Blackbeard, summon a Whitebeard. Whitebeard during the opponent's turn can turn itself into the Dark Mowerk. Mowerk is going to be able to target an effect monster the opponent controls to then banish it. When do we pull off our banishment? And when do we use Book of Eclipse to flip the entire field face down? We're going to mirror Sword Knight. You activated a monster effect on the field. Even though it's no longer there, monster on field was activated. We control a Chimera flying mythical beast, which this is considered to be. Thus, we now get to negate. And we still have the effect of Codal. If you choose to target any of my monsters, we will negate, and I need some lube, mate. Negate. That's a scoop. We didn't even Book of Eclipse. We didn't even Mowerk target to banish. I very much like both players' decks. Starting this off, I thought, oh, great, a regular Super Heavy Samurai, regular Chimera deck. Even though Chimera is still relatively new, very happy to see it being played with Plunder Patrol. Let's see what happens. Plunder is definitely a cool archetype. We have Wakashi summoning itself to set up the Benki. Benki searching for the Soul Piercer. We have now committed to our normal summon. and we apparently did not care to even negate the Gamma. Now, why would we not negate Gamma with board load? Many of you may be thinking it's an obvious negate. Not so. The board load negates and does not destroy, does not banish, so what happens is the Gamma stays in the hand, being activatable again in the same turn. You thought that this was a hard once per turn? You think wrong. I think that Gamma would be allowed at 3 if it were a hard once per turn. I think the problem with it not being a hard once per turn is what really broke the card. Good pop, and I do feel like we need more cards like Gamma. They just screwed up on not making it hard once per turn. Diablo Star is now here. We're playing right through that Gamma, negating a Banshee that we didn't even need, as the Poplar now triggers to equip itself into the back row, setting up our original Sinful. Send Poplar, summon from the deck or from the hand in Oak. Oak's going to be reborning the Poplar. As we now further link off the Poplar into Link Rebo, send a back row plus Oak to summon from the deck a Flameburge. Wait, we're first turn killing again? No, we didn't do it. We didn't proxy F. We didn't have the materials. What is needed to perform the fusion? A machine-type monster and a pyro-type monster. We didn't have a machine and pyro in order to make our first turn kill until we reborn the proxy F Magician. I don't think we have enough juice to first turn kill here. 3k damage. 2 more times, and it's happening. We could Zealantis it back on the field, but how do we activate the effect again? We need a third time. We have Clock Lizard. Okay, we could Clock Lizard, but can we make a Zealantis after? As we make a Masquerena to get the Blaze Phoenix into the graveyard. We didn't even use the negate on Borload, mate. We're not going to be burning for 3,000 damage anymore because we just lost cards on the field. Come forth, Blaze Phoenix. First, we're going to be triggering the effect of the Banshee to come forth and summon back in the field, burning for 2,400, ending the turn on this. Ain't no way. 2,600 life, not enough for lethal damage. Masquerena will be able to link off into a Little Knight to then banish a card on the field, then banish again. We have a double banish play. Late to the party, Max C, welcome. Kodal into the Sword Knight. Now, Kodal will be able to negate the Little Knight. Also, the Sword Knight will be able to. So we are going to be chaining Masquerena to the Sword Knight, summoning a monster from the deck as we chain Maxi to the activation of the Masquerena to perform a Link summon. As we turn this into a Little Knight. Sure, we are not going to be able to negate that because we don't have a Mythical King on the field yet. Gazelle on summon activating to search our deck, likely for a Chimera Fusion as it now gets banished off the field. Not caring for us to use a Chimera Fusion in response, as we're just going to wait to now Chimera Fuse into Baphomet. If Baphomet activates, the Little Knight could chain to try to banish it off the field, but we can negate the Little Knight. We're going to be triggering the Promethean Princess, which the Kodal should be usable off of Promethean, right? Let's read the Kodal here. Kodal states that your opponent activates a card effect that targets a card you control while you control a Chimera mythical beast. So this will, in fact, be able to negate the Kodal. You then chain the Little Knight. You then chain the Sword Knight to negate the Little Knight. I see a checkmate. How are we stopping this, mate? Negate. As we then get to negate the Little Knight if it activates. Little Knight chain to be banishing the Baphomet. Sword Knight, exactly as I said would happen. Back to back, negate and negate, mate. Now, the big question is, can we end the duel? Do we have enough damage to deal 8,000? Can we set up a good enough field? We're going to be grabbing ourselves a Whitebeard. We already committed to our normal summon. Chimera Fusion adding itself in the grave back to the hand as we now fuse our field in hand into a Guardian Chimera to pop a card on the field and draw 2. And we can now trigger the Whitebeard, which will lock us into Plunder Patrol only. Baphomet on a higher chain link is going to be reborning an illusion before it would be illegal. So this is our last instance of a non-plunder special summon as we now summon Black Eyes. We're going to be randomly drawing into double Ash, discard Ash to reborn the Golden Hair as we now make a Jord. Synchro Shokan into the Jord. Jord's going to be placing a card in the graveyard back into our hand. Black Eyes can now return a card in the graveyard back to our hand to then special summon itself onto the field. We're going to be using the Jord effect to summon a token onto both sides of the field, making sure they are light as we add back from the grave a Redbeard. And now let's turn this into a Blackbeard Link Shokan. Blackbeard is going to be equipping the Black Eyes onto our Mowork. Mowork's going to be discarding a card, banishing the Blaze Phoenix off the field, Redbeard is going to be equipping onto the Mowerk as we now activate our Shipyard. With the Shipyard, we're going to be discarding a card to search our deck for a Whitebeard Plunder Patrol. We need a Plunder Patrol in the hand to activate our plunders on field, the quick effects, to get banishing with Mowerk. Now, what we have here is we're setting up a monster negate, very likely mate, but it has the additional effect of drawing a card at the end of performing that fusion summon, so it negates the entire effect. So what we have left is Mowerk and Ash Blossom. We could banish an effect monster. We can negate an interaction with the deck. Now we could discard Whitebeard to summon a Redbeard, then Redbeard could turn into a Yellowbeard, right? A Lightbeard, which will then be a monster negate. So we have even more disruption. Negate the original Sinfuls from returning your card back to the deck and searching for a Snake Eye Ash. I do not think so, as the Motorbike now discards to search our deck for a Wagon. I'm expecting the Mowerk to be activating here to banish that Wagon off the field. That's exactly what's happening. Discard with the Mowerk, goodbye to the Whitebeard, and now banish the Wagon from the field. You will not be searching your deck as we grab a Shipyard from our deck to now. We didn't trigger the Whitebeard? Why not? I guess we didn't want to, or we ran out of cards to summon. We are a hybrid deck, so likely not playing more than one Redbeard, which is already on the field, is what I'd be thinking. Yeah, if I were to combine this, more than one Redbeard is too many bricks. We're now going to Blackbeard into the Synchro Shokan brand, lethal damage, Chimera Plunder advancing the tournament, and I love to see it. Both of you, I was rooting for both of you. Thank you, Pro Slayer and Odds. Both playing great decks, very fun, and let's keep on going. DK's saying FTK is fun. Yes. If a lot of other people are not playing it, then I'm happy to see it. I believe, I know this is controversial. I know it makes people upset, but I believe True Draco is a great deck for new players. It's very easy to build, super cheap, very easy to play. But even with it being easy to play, there's a lot of cool stuff to learn with the deck and get good with. It's accessible. I know it's a stun deck. I know they're your monster negated. You're mad about losing to this. I know it's a bad feeling when a new player downloads Master Duel and then beats you on their very first duel, which will happen, and that's why new players should play this. Now, should it be their main deck forever after playing it as a new player? I do think it'd be good to maybe move on to a better, more interactive deck, but if they enjoy the playstyle that much, then there's no shame in that if they enjoy stun. Just expect to have no friends. Come forth, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, with the ability to negate monsters as we now that we have hand trap protection, we're going to be following up with our main play. Let's now speed this up. Now, normally, they use the orchestrated Babel field spell to summon the Dingirsu. Instead, you could use something like Flameburst. But since we didn't have the Galatea already on the field, we're going to use the Flameburst to equip the Galatea to then summon it onto the field during the opponent's turn to then turn on the Crescendo to be able to not only negate any card or effect, but to also banish the card that it is negating. That is huge. So we have negate anything, plus negate anything, plus negate a monster, plus Masquerena going into a double Little Knight banish. This is about 5 disruption. There's no Promethean Princess in the grave, it looks like. Can we break this field? I don't know. If any of the True King cards go to the grave, or the traps will destroy a monster, the spells will destroy back row. So maybe we could take out that Crescendo early, maybe. Summon Limit's no good, Erupt is no good because we're going second, and now the Galatea is ready with that negate. We're going to come forth and summon to trigger the Heritage. Heritage is going to pop the Crescendo. Borload is going to negate. We did not chain the Ignis Heat to the Borload to search our deck, as we would then get disrupted from that. But it does not matter. We're going to turn this into a Little Knight. Little Knight on summon activate to banish the Ignis Heat. Chaining the effect of Flameburst, triggering to our effect of being sent to the grave, as the Ignis Heat is attempting to activate to search our deck for another continuous spell. It's over. This is so over. We summon limit later. Erupt is not even activatable. Only activatable if you have no cards in your extra deck and control a tribute summon monster to then negate their entire field of monsters. Oak's going to add back. Poplar's going to search. The only thing we could do is Scoop. Yep, Scoop's the only play. Now, someone may be thinking, you could True King's Return, Reborn Ignis Heat, then activate the Monarch's Erupt. No, you cannot. But another play we could do instead is, with the True King's Return, by popping it, we could use its effect when being popped and sent to the grave to then destroy a monster on the field. Is that going to be enough? Definitely not. So you're limited to 2 summons this turn, sir. Even though you definitely have enough for lethal with just the current field. Good sport, not surrendering, just wants to play it out. That's fine. Okay. Yep. Okay, lethal damage. Let's take this into game number 2. Very nice. Now let's read the Apocalypse real quick. The Apocalypse states that if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can target a monster on the field and destroy it. So you saw with your own eyes, clearly it was physically in the spot of the back row and being sent to the grave, but it did not trigger. Because it actually wasn't there. Yep, it wasn't. Your eyes did deceive you. It is negated, the activation. Because the activation was negated, it technically was never there. Thus, it just went to the grave, not from the field, but from the purgatory. Yes. Let's hop into the next duel. Verte would not be announced to be banned tonight. Verte would be on the regular ban list. It dodged the ban list. It's good. We're going to be tributing for our Dynamite. And just like that, what is Dynamite going to be able to do? When your opponent activates a card or effect while this is tribute summoned, you can take a True Draco and add it, a True Draco continuous trap that is, and activate it or add it to your hand. And with the Masterpiece in hand, I learned through playing this deck myself, the videos on YouTube, it is better to summon this on the opponent's turn than to summon it on your turn 1. And when you tribute summon this, it's going to be unaffected by any card type that you use to tribute this for, which could be a spell, trap, or monster. Continuous spell, continuous trap. And what we could do is tribute over the trap and the monster, making it completely unaffected by monsters, and then giving it the ability to pop any card on the field. It's going to be quite powerful. And on its summon, it will trigger the trap to pop a monster on the field. So we have double pop ready, and we also have lose 1 turn. When they summon a monster for the first time, if it's special summoned, it is negated. Yep, negates effects, and it's changed to defense. So it's about 3 ways we have disrupting. King Sark is going to be added. Set up the King Sark. We're going to lose 1 turn, negating your newly summoned monsters. Sure. Continually floodgating any newly special summoned monster for just 1 turn. Discarding the symbol skeleton is sent from the deck of Happy. As we now, I'm Seti and Happy from the graveyard. As you can see, everything is negated. We're going to Gizmek Orochi, banish 8 cards randomly off the top of the deck to then summon itself onto the field as the Dynamite searches our deck and sets up the True Draco Apocalypse. Sure. As we now turn this into a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Lord, it is negated, completely negated. We're going to Apocalypse pop the Dynamite. We're going to be reborning it back on the field. Okay, we didn't want to summon the Masterpiece. What are we doing here, huh? You may be thinking we're resetting its effect. This effect does not get reset. It is once per turn, soft once per turn, but only activatable if you control a tribute summon monster. So now the effect to grab a trap from the deck is gone. It's just gone. It's out of here. True Draco Diagram, pop in the Apocalypse to grab a Heritage, which will pop a back row card as the Apocalypse pops a monster. Goodbye to the I'm Seti. Heritage is now going to be able to grab randomly a True King Return off the top of the deck as we now battle, wipe out the Photon Lord to now tribute for the Masterpiece. Masterpiece is unaffected by spells, unaffected by traps, but it is affected by monsters. Was this the correct play to do? Now what's going to happen is the Heritage will pop a back row, and the King's Return will take out the final remaining monster. Wipe out the King Sark, say goodbye to the monster, and we now have the quick effect during either player's turn to pop a card on the field. The Imperm cannot stop us. So what are we under the effects of? Pop a card in the field, newly special summon are negated, and we now have a new card, the Apophis. This is going to be up to the number of other continuous traps you control. You're going to negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls, and it's non-target. And it's right away. It's not summon then activate. It's activate to non-target negate. It will be 2 cards. Double negate. Okay, sure. Why are we doing this? Well, this negates the lose 1 turn. So it makes sense. We have to Apophis negate the negate onto the lose 1 turn. Nicely done. Lose 1 turn is now not negated. We're going to Imperm you anyway. Yeah, well, it's like just saying, hey, you got me. All right, let's hop into the next duel. So ideally, we ban Maxi with the pack so bad that there's nothing worth crafting or turning it into, right? by reborning the Galatea with the simple skeleton, we can now Flameburge equip the Dingirsu to then summon Dingirsu during the opponent's turn with the effect of Flameburge. As we now make a Longursu. Now, it is time for Dingirsu in the back row, ready to be summoned whenever for a non-target send anything on the field to the grave. Plus, we have the Crescendo, thanks to the Longursu being activatable to negate and banish anything. We have also negate any monster effect. We also have Masquerena into a double Little Knight banish. That's about 5 disruption plus whatever we have in the graveyard, which is nothing. 5 disruption. Good luck. Dead card, and the other cards are not dead. Let's see if it's enough. Pot of D, randomly draw 2. Into negate and banish, we have 4 more plays. Now, even though they are dead cards, we could still tribute them for the Masterpiece. We're going to set up the Dragonic Diagram, and we're going to non-target send to the graveyard with the effect of Flameburge, reborning our back row Dingirsu. Before the diagram activates, to pop a card we control or in the hand to search our deck. Say goodbye. We're now down to triple disruption. Set 2 back row to come forth and summon Masterpiece. Now, what's really unfortunate is the Pot of D got banished by the Crescendo, which we could have tried to pop with the Heritage. Now, the Pot of D is not similar to Pot of E, which is requiring it to be activated at the start of main phase 1. This could have been activated after we attempted to destroy their back row first. Probably what we should have tried to do before we did this. Now, the Masquerena is going to go into a Little Knight, which will be able to affect the Masterpiece. And the Photon Lord is also going to affect the Masterpiece, negating its effect to pop the Masquerena, which is trying to stop it from summoning a Little Knight play. That Little Knight play will, of course, go through as the Masterpiece is not unaffected by monster effects. Turning this into our Little Knight to then say goodbye to the Masterpiece. And that's a permanent banish. Now, lose 1 turn is only lose 1 turn on newly special summon monsters. We already have lethal damage, and just like that. Lethal damage. Wow. All right, True Draco versus Orcust Snake Eye. Thank you to both players for your spiciness.